Hello, this is Suzanne Bencha with Saving the World, and the following is if you stay tuned, is a prayer, but my message is about the pollution and the big PR that the Democrats have going on right now about the lead pipes. We started doing lead pipes in the 70s, and they're still not finished with that yet. India, Walmart, in the news yesterday, Walmart said they're going to India for cheaper products. So the unprivileged are still living in the dust and debris of the manufacturing pyramid, just like we did during the time of the Egyptians. And that's who's still setting the pace to this day, when it's not our megalomaniac nuke generation. And so lead pipes are important, yes, and I don't disagree with them handling that, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. And the way the Democrats are handling it is just totally ridiculous. We need a full solution to handle the problem, because there's so many thousands of chemicals being pumped into our environment every day, and pharmaceuticals and PFOAs that go into packaging to make packaging and paper, and little bits of paper last longer so you don't have to use as much. All this stuff is being absorbed, and it's mostly the unprivileged that can't protect themselves from it. So this is what I have to wear just to go and spend time in my garden, to go shopping, even my food shopping while I'm in the store. My health has been this bad since I was young. I made the decision somewhere along the line not to get air cleaners, so I would know for sure when I came out the other end that it was the pollution that was wreaking. It wasn't just the bullying, it was also the pollution that was wreaking havoc on my health. And until I got 20 air cleaners in my house and started wearing this every day when I go outside to do my gardening or shopping, I couldn't hold on to food, and I literally almost died. But I kind of lost sight of what I had to do, and I forgot about my pledge, to work it the way everybody else was working it and not worry about it. And it really didn't work for me because of the pollution. So Universal Affirmative Action is the only thing that's really going to get everything, the privileged and unprivileged alike, all of our ducks in a row, to resolve this problem. So it's actually, it's actually a solution that's going to give everybody, it's going to afford everybody an opportunity for real. Because by the time you retire, and like me, you didn't even get a chance to I worked 9 years, and my body totally collapsed after another 2 years. Well, that was when, Big Brother wouldn't hire me anymore. The pharmaceutical company, the consumer end of the SmithKline Beecham that I worked for, they let me go because I had a disability, basically. So that was wrong to begin with, when there was another disabled person there. But children are still going to be inhaling. They're making a big stink about children. They're still going to be getting all this other pollution from the environment. It's not just the lead. And reverse osmosis doesn't filter out the lithium that's coming from the pharmaceutical companies and many other drugs. And they told us this back in the 90s. So when I became disabled, I installed my own reverse osmosis, but there's still things you can't get out. And it's killing me. I've been trying to convalesce since 1998 from the pollution. My body totally, flattened out in 1998, when I couldn't even do work at my own pace anymore. Not even a little bit. So Universal Affirmative Action would address everything from A to Z, and it would put everything into priority, not just people. I guess this is leading to another thing that I needed to add in to make it clear. we're not just talking about people, but we're talking about environmental issues as well that lead to people's health. But you have to put the people that have been waiting the longest in line first. And that includes people that might be 80 years old if they still want to work. And the environment has to be affirmative action, because it's just like the environment is just like another unprivileged person, except it's the one that feeds everybody. And it has to be put in front of the line with affirmative action. The affirmative action has to address environment and people. Okay, that's why it's called Universal Affirmative Action, because it addresses environment and people and puts health and welfare first. What's happening on Wall Street is no big deal. It could be assuaged by just telling Wall Street to go up when they build a house over 3,500 square feet. Or when the population goes up, Wall Street should go down. When services go down, because people are going to have to get out there and perform more services. We're going to have to do more of our own agriculture, because importing immigrants just keeps raising the population of the world, and raising the population of the world is another affirmative action issue, because it overcrowds our cities and creates epidemics in those cities. So folks, this is it. It's not just the Democrats' problem. You'd think the Republicans would be on top of this. President Garfield was a Republican, and he was really the first to suggest a really large, encompassing program. Of course, they assassinated him. So I think if you looked at his stuff, it might be close to affirmative action, but that's not necessary, because affirmative action is triage, and it should cover everything from A to Z with people and environments, and it would help the privileged get their ducks in a row, because this is like God to them. Affirmative action would be like a God to the godless unprivileged, and that would satisfy, I think that would help to satisfy other countries that we're trading with too, and it would help us give them a new milestone to be able to trade with us, because we would truly be dealing with civil rights from every angle, not just pushing it around and creating more factions to deal with it, which just gerrymanders the slavery every way possible. And I have to note at the end of this that the affirmative action also has to cover the thought terrorists that we now have, that are pushed through the media, and they always have been. It wasn't necessary, but pushing it through television and combined with the use of drugs and cell phones is also wreaking havoc on the unprivileged. That would be the people that would change things to begin with. And there's already thought terrorists, so why can't we have thought social workers? It has to be addressed as well. It's a priority, it's a triage, because the privileged use the control of public opinion to assuage any of our efforts to make something like universal affirmative action a law. And they're going to keep scaring the bejeebers out of people with their thought terrorists. Before you're even born, you're listening to what's going on in your environment, and you're scared before you're even born. I saw it for myself. I was the next to the last child, and I saw it in my own sibling. He was already a fascist before he was 2 years old. Just totally selfish. Just totally selfish. I mean, you could let him play with your toys, but he wouldn't let you play with his. So that's what the privileged do with us now. They can have clean air, but we can't. And that's the first thing you need, clean air. Clean, not just air, but to even be able to play with the privileges' toys, we need clean group conscience. Air, water, food, clothing, and then viable in front of all of these, shelter, population levels, and environments to live, work, and play in. And of course, clean pipes would come into that shelter part, because exposing yourself to these kinds of chemicals is like making you homeless. So it's not viable shelter. So they're right in getting to it, but they have to get to all of it at the same time. And the only, I think, way they're going to get it through the Supreme Court is if they make an a universal affirmative action policy. And they don't have to worry about getting all these little bits and pieces through. Because we're in the middle of Envirogeddon already. I think we've passed the eye of this hurricane, and it needs to be done. So please read my blog if you need, if this isn't clear enough, please, by all means, read my blog at Suzanne Gabriel Bencho, We the People, because there's 2 blogs there, and it's number 14A, and it's called Saving the World with the Environment, or with a, I don't know if it says with the environment this time, but it's with through Universal Affirmative Action, number 14A. And it's about 88 pages now. It's about half the stuff. The statistics and stuff are in the second half, which I'm not releasing yet because I'm not seeing enough stuff to even work on that more. And it's something that the geniuses need to hone anyway, but it's probably not even necessary. But well, maybe it will be to get a policy passed and through the Supreme Court, but maybe it won't be even fought. Maybe it won't even get that far because it makes sense. It's really as close to God as we'll ever get. You know, the splitting of the loaf that Jesus and other religions purport, the kindness, the charity. It shouldn't have to be charity, it should just be, it's your privilege. The adults brought you into this world, and you have the right to get a start unhampered by any disability at all, including the thought terrorists. And this needs to be done immediately. The thought terrorists are keeping all policies down because people will not vote their conscience, even if they get a representative that is their conscience. They won't vote it because they're terrified by these thought terrorists. So I've been dealing with them all my existence. I think it was the drugs and alcohol that opened the unprivileged up to knowing that they exist to begin with, versus the other way around, because it only takes coffee to expand your mind, folks, and even to occupy somebody else's mind, which is what these thought terrorists do. My neighbors, my family, and the people that work for my relatives are occupying my mind every day, scaring the bejeebers out of me, and also extending their subjugation to killing half of my yard that I've been working on for physical therapy since I had an unnecessary operation at Allegheny General Hospital 6 weeks before 9/11. So that gives you some idea of what the timing of that I have is, and what the powers that be do about people that, like me, that are being hurt. They do react, and I don't think that was any coincidence, because I've been fighting for civil rights my entire existence, and they saw this coming, and I think, to me, it's loud and clear. Maybe not to the rest of the world, and you might think it's funny that I would even compare myself to that, but somebody's got to stand up, and nobody's doing it right now. We don't even have a representative to vote for. Although this lead thing is a start, it needs to come under the rubric of universal affirmative action, so they don't have to pass all these little bits and pieces through. It needs to be done now. Please, let's do it. And please read my blog. And there'll be jokes on the way too, as soon as I can relax and these things start start happening on their own. I can do this stuff funny too, so we can do this together and do it gleefully, and helping each other, and really, really helping each other. So please, let's do it together. Factions aren't working. George Washington warned against it, and it's crushing us. It's divide and conquer, folks. Universal affirmative action brings it all together. And that's about it. So have a good day. Thanks for listening.